My friend and fellow pickleball coach Tony called me with the idea of teaching a clinic to some local Zulu kids at his club in South Africa. It did not take me long to convince my wife and commit to the trip. We booked flights through Dubai as one of the preferred routes to travel to Cape Town from the US. We anxiously awaited for the date of the trip to arrive. All looked good, then the war with Iran started. Suddenly the whole region was under attack, and to make things worse, the Dubai airport was attacked. This created great doubt about if or when our trip was going to happen. News of the war kept getting worse, and our airlines was pushing our flights out 30 days at a time until the Dubai was safe. It looked like the trip was not going to happen this year. Finally, at 2 a.m. one morning, I got a hold of the airline and was able to cancel the flights. Moments later, I booked new flights that went from Atlanta to Cape Town and avoided the Middle East entirely. The trip was back on. We boarded a plane in the US, and 26 long hours later, we arrived at Cape Town, South Africa. Our first day in South Africa, we got to experience one of the coolest animal encounters I ever had. We climbed rocks, traversed beaches, and waded through the ocean to see penguins in a natural habitat. Yes, they have penguins, and we got to get up close and personal with them. We had lots of different adventures, exploring caves, bass fishing, and going on a river cruise looking for hippos. But our favorite by far was going on a multi-day safari. With no walls dividing us, we saw amazing sights and animals. My favorite were the giraffes. We spotted lots of other animals like impalas, zebra, warthogs, baboons, monkeys, and buffalo, to name a few. Our personal mission was to see as many of the Africa Big Five animals as possible. We were very lucky to get up close and personal with elephants, rhinos, lions, and Cape buffalo. They all remind me of pickleball opponents I have faced. The Lions reminded me of Kyle Yates toying with us before running up the score and finishing us off with a game-winning Burt. The Cape Buffalo licked his chops, which reminded me of DJ Young when I tried to hit a winner by him. We will never forget the safari adventure. The weather gave us a few delays, but the day finally came for our pickleball clinic. We got up early to prepare the courts at the Zini Pickleball Club for the arrival of the children. I was a little nervous. This was going to be different than the normal crowd, which I instructed at the Palm Desert Resorter in the Palm Springs area. You also never know whether the local audience that hangs around the courts will heckle you. The taxis full of kids dropped off the students, and we kicked off the introductions to discover not all of the kids understood English, or knew of pickleball, or even California. Normally, the big surprise when instructing is the players' skill levels are not what we expected. This was a new challenge. We started with the basics of grip and a standard contact point. It was really cool that all but one had a great continental grip once I showed the handshake technique. This was a great start. Surprising, the kids had pretty good eye-hand coordination. They might have made contact with an open face, but the balls were generally going over the net. Early drills were a success. However, once they started moving further away from each other, strange things began to happen. Once, many of them flung off their tennis shoes to go barefoot. Others decided seeing how high you can hit the ball over the net was fun. For others, they borrowed my often used technique of hitting the ball too hard and way out of the court. Even if we were losing control of the clinic, the smiles and laughter was heartwarming. We all took a water break and then taught the kids the drop serve. That went pretty well, and we were back on track. Service returns, not too bad either. Dinking was definitely out of the question, so we introduced the rules of the game. I had 3 other coaches helping as we broke up into 4 courts and tried playing some games. That went pretty well, as the kids somewhat got the game concept, and we heard all the same sounds we normally hear on pickleball courts: laughter, taunting, cheers, and groans. We were having a successful clinic. Then it happened. The kids decided mixing soccer, volleyball, and pickleball together was a better way to play. In fact, in this new game, the number of bounces and the boundaries of the courts were not limitations. We lost control. We thoroughly enjoyed watching the kids display their athletic abilities in the South African version of our beloved game. I am calling it a success. At the end of the clinic, they had some lunch, and then 8 of the kids were chosen by Tony to be mentored to compete at the South African Pickleball Championships next year. It was exciting to be part of the start of these kids' journey into pickleball. The kids grabbed some paddles, and we took some pictures to end the day. A few broke out in a song as we were taking pictures. It was so exciting. Thank you, Selkirk, for sponsoring this event. We would like to give a huge thank you to our hosts, Tony and Becca, for making the South Africa experience incredibly memorable. Pickleball and Safaris, a combination that everyone needs to experience sometime.